$100 a month. I want you to actually sit with that number for a second before we go anywhere else. Not as an investment thesis, not as a financial strategy, just as a number in your life. $100 a month. For most people reading that, one of two things happens. Either it sounds laughably small, like that is nothing, that will never matter. You need to be investing thousands to actually build anything real. Or it sounds just out of reach, like I would love to, but after rent and groceries and the car payment and everything else, $100 is genuinely not sitting around waiting to be invested. Both of those reactions are understandable. Both of them are wrong. And the specific way in which they are wrong is what today is entirely about. Because $100 a month, invested consistently and left alone, does something that defies the intuition of almost everyone who has never seen the math up close. It does not just grow, it compounds. And compounding, when you actually look at what it produces over real time frames, is one of the most genuinely shocking things in all of personal finance. Not shocking like a viral trick or a secret loophole. Shocking like, why did nobody show me this in school? Shocking like, I would have started so much earlier if I had understood this. That is what we are going to build today. A complete, honest, visceral understanding of what $100 a month actually becomes, why the journey there is more accessible than most people believe, and why the act of starting, even with an amount that feels embarrassingly small, changes not just your bank account but your entire relationship with money and time. My name is Mike, and I have spent more time than I care to admit staring at compound interest calculators and reading studies on savings behavior and investor psychology. Specifically because I became obsessed with one question. Why do so many people who understand intellectually that investing is important still never actually start? And what I found over and over again is that the barrier is almost never knowledge. People know they should invest. The barrier is almost always a combination of two things: the belief that the amount they have available is too small to matter, and the absence of a clear, emotionally resonant picture of what small, consistent investing actually produces over time. Today, I want to demolish the first belief and provide the second thing. Because once both of those shift, once you genuinely feel what this math means rather than just understanding it abstractly, the question of whether to start stops feeling complicated. Let's build the picture from the ground up. $100 a month is roughly $3.30 a day. It is the cost of a mid-range coffee. It is less than most people spend on subscriptions they forgot they had. It is an amount that, for most people with any kind of regular income, can be found by making one or two small adjustments to spending patterns. Not dramatic ones, not life-altering ones, just small redirections. And that is important to establish early, because the math only works if the $100 actually gets invested rather than remaining theoretical. So before we go into what this money becomes, I want you to seriously ask yourself, is there $100 a month in your current spending that is not actively making your life better? Not something you love, not something that matters, just a subscription you barely use, a habit that is more automatic than enjoyable, a recurring cost that you would not genuinely miss if it redirected somewhere else. For most people, the answer is yes, and finding that $100 is step one. Now let's do the math. And I want to do it across multiple time frames because the number at each stage tells a different and increasingly important story. You start investing $100 a month today. You put it into a broad, low-cost index fund, something that tracks the overall stock market, the kind of instrument that has returned an average of roughly 7 to 10% annually over the long term after inflation. You do not touch it. You do not watch it obsessively. You just let the automatic transfer run and let the market do what it has done across every 30-year period in modern history. After 1 year, you have around $1,200 plus a small amount of gains. Unimpressive. After 5 years, you have around $7,200 in contributions plus compounding. Total balance somewhere around $7,000 to $8,000 depending on market conditions. Still modest. After 10 years, contributions of $12,000 have grown to somewhere in the range of $17,000. The compounding is becoming visible but not yet dramatic. And then something starts to happen. After 20 years, your total contributions are $24,000. Your actual balance, because of compounding, is somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. You have more than doubled your money without doing anything except continuing the habit. After 30 years, 43 years of age if you started at 25, you have contributed $36,000 of your own money. Your balance is somewhere between $110,000 and $130,000. Over $250,000 if returns are strong. From $100 a month, that is not a fantasy. That is not a best-case scenario. That is the historical average of broadly diversified market investing applied to one of the smallest consistent investment amounts a person can make. Let that sit for a moment. But here's the part of the math that I think is the most emotionally significant and the least often discussed. Look at the relationship between what you put in and what you end up with. After 30 years, you contributed $36,000. You ended up with potentially 100,000 or more. That means the market, compounding on your behalf, silently, without your effort, purely because you showed up consistently, generated more wealth than your actual contributions did. You put in 36,000. The compounding added 70,000 or more on top. You got paid more by the math than by your own savings. That is the inflection point everyone talks about, but almost nobody truly feels until they see it in their own numbers. Your money starts doing more work than you do. That is what investing is. That is what it becomes over time. And it literally begins the moment you put in the first $100. Now I want to address the version of this conversation that goes, okay, but I am not 25, I am 35, I am 42. I missed the window. I should have started a decade ago and I did not. And now the math does not work as well, so what is the point? I hear this constantly and I want to be direct about it. Yes, starting earlier is better. The math is unambiguous on that. A dollar invested at 25 is worth more than a dollar invested at 35 because it has more time to compound. That is just true. But here is what is also true. The best time to start is always now. Not because that is a motivational poster sentiment, but because every month you delay is a month of compounding that you permanently remove from your outcome. The person who starts at 35 and invests consistently until 65 has 30 years of compounding. Not the 40 years they would have had at 25, but 30 real, powerful, wealth-building years. That still produces something extraordinary from $100 a month. The math does not stop being compelling just because you wish you had started earlier. It just starts from where you are. And where you are is still decades away from the end of the runway. Do not let the perfect be the enemy of the possible. The second best time to plant a tree is right now, and that has never been more literally true than in the context of compound investing. Let me give you one number to anchor this. Someone who starts at 35 and invests $100 a month until 65 still ends up with somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 from 36,000 in contributions. That is still a life-changing outcome from one of the smallest consistent investment amounts a person can make. Not as large as starting at 25, but real, significant, worth doing. The 10 years of delay cost you something, not everything. And the 10 years ahead of you are still full of compounding that will not happen unless you start today. There is also a psychological dimension to this that I find just as important as the financial one, and it almost never gets the attention it deserves. When you invest consistently, even a small amount, you are not just building a financial asset, you are building a financial identity. You become, in your own self-concept, someone who invests. Someone who takes the future seriously, someone who has skin in the game. And that identity shift produces behavioral changes that extend far beyond the investment account itself. People who identify as investors make different spending decisions. They think about money differently. They notice financial opportunities and threats more clearly. They make more considered choices about income and expenses because those things now have a destination. They feed the machine that is already running. The $100 a month is not just $100 a month. It is the seed of a completely different relationship with your own financial life. And you cannot put a number on how much that is worth over 30 years of better decisions made by someone who sees themselves differently. I also want to talk about what happens when the $100 grows. Because most people who start with $100 a month do not stay at $100 a month forever. Life changes, income grows, the habit gets established, and the amount naturally increases. What happens when someone who starts at $100 a month increases their contribution by just $50 every few years as their income and comfort grow? The numbers become dramatically more significant. Start at 100, move to 150 after 5 years, 200 after 10, 250 after 15. Contributions are still modest by any measure, but the compounding base underneath those increasing contributions is already substantial by the time each increase arrives. So every additional dollar hits a larger foundation and produces a larger return. The $100 a month is not the ceiling, it is the starting point. It is the moment you stop being someone who intends to invest and start being someone who invests. And from that starting point, every improvement you make, every raise you partially redirect, every expense you eliminate and funnel in, has a compounding base to land on rather than starting from zero. The habit creates the platform. The platform multiplies everything that follows. And here is something worth naming directly. Once the habit is established and the account is growing, the psychological pull to protect it becomes its own motivating force. You stop being indifferent to the investment account because it is no longer abstract. It is yours. You built it. And that sense of ownership, of something real being at stake, quietly changes how you relate to every financial decision you make. You think twice before a purchase not because you are budgeting obsessively, but because you feel connected to where that money could otherwise go. The investment account becomes a competing priority, and over time, a compelling one. Let me also dismantle something I hear regularly that I think keeps a lot of people stuck unnecessarily. The idea that you need to understand the market, understand investing deeply, pick the right stocks, time things correctly before you start. This is one of the most financially expensive misconceptions in personal finance, because it turns investing from a simple, accessible habit into a complex, expertise requiring project that most people never feel ready for. Here is the truth. The single most powerful investing strategy available to most individual investors is also the simplest one: a low-cost index fund that tracks the broad market. No stock picking, no timing, no expertise required. You are buying a small piece of every major company simultaneously. When the market goes up, you benefit. When it goes down, you buy the same amount at lower prices, which means you are automatically buying more units when things are on sale. The strategy is called dollar cost averaging, and it is embedded in the simple act of investing a fixed amount every month, regardless of what the market is doing. You do not need to know anything except this: keep going. Do not stop when the market drops. Do not panic. Do not sell. Just keep the $100 going and let the decades do what decades of compounding do. The complexity that the financial industry has built around investing exists largely to justify fees. The actual strategy that produces the best long-term outcomes for most people is one that a teenager can execute in 20 minutes and then mostly leave alone. And here is what I want to say about the fear that usually lives underneath the investing hesitation: the fear of losing the money. It is real and it is valid, and I do not want to dismiss it. Market crashes happen, values drop. Portfolios that were worth something can be worth less in a bad year. That is genuinely true, but here is the context that makes it manageable rather than paralyzing. Over every 30-year period in the history of the modern stock market, broadly diversified index fund investing has produced positive returns. Not every year, not every 5 years, but every 30-year rolling window, which means that for money you are not going to need for decades, money you are putting away for your future self, the historical risk of loss over that time frame is remarkably low. The risk of not investing is actually greater, because money sitting in a savings account earning 2% while inflation runs at 3 is losing purchasing power every single year, quietly, without triggering any of the fear response that a market drop triggers. The certainty of slow erosion is less emotionally alarming than the volatility of growth, even though growth is vastly superior. Understanding that keeps you invested when the market gets uncomfortable. And staying invested is the entire strategy. There is a famous piece of data from Fidelity Investments about which of their accounts performed best over long periods. The answer was accounts belonging to people who had either forgotten they had the account or had died. Not the most active traders, not the people who paid the closest attention, the people who did nothing. Because doing nothing is, counterintuitively, the optimal active strategy for a long-term index fund investor. The market rewards patience more reliably than it rewards intelligence. That should be the most encouraging thing you have heard today. So here's what I want to leave you with, and I want to make it as concrete and actionable as possible, rather than just inspiring and abstract. Open an investment account today if you do not have one. Not this week. Today. It takes 20 minutes. Fund it with whatever you have right now, even if it is $50 to start. Set up an automatic monthly transfer for whatever amount you can genuinely commit to without it creating financial stress. If that is $100, great. If it is 70, that is fine too. The amount matters less than the automaticity. Make it something that happens without your monthly intervention, and then leave it alone. Check it occasionally if you want, but do not manage it. Do not react to short-term moves. Do not make decisions based on what is happening in the news this week. Just let the transfer run and let the compounding accumulate, and revisit the math once a year to see what the consistency is producing. Because when you look at the number after 12 months and see it is higher than what you put in, when you see that first small evidence of the math working on your behalf, something changes. It stops being theoretical. The habit becomes real. The identity becomes real. And from that point forward, you are a different kind of person making a different kind of financial future. $100 a month is not nothing. It is not too small to matter. It is not a consolation prize for people who cannot invest real money. It is, for a genuinely large number of people, the exact move that separates a financial life that drifts from one that builds. And I want to be specific about what drifting costs because I think it is underestimated. Every year you delay starting is not just a year without contributions, it is a year of compounding that gets permanently removed from your outcome, not postponed, removed. The 55-year-old who wishes they had started at 25 did not just lose 30 years of contributions. They lost 30 years of returns on those contributions, returns on the returns, and the psychological momentum that consistent investing builds over decades. That is the real cost of waiting, not the $100 a month, the decades of compounding that the $100 would have triggered. The number is accessible, the strategy is simple, the math is on your side. The only question left is whether you are going to let one more month go by as someone who intends to start, or whether today is the day you become someone who has. If this conversation moved something for you, if it made investing feel real and possible rather than distant and complicated, then please subscribe. This is what this channel is. Honest, clear, no-hype conversations about money that actually change how you think and what you do. There is a lot more coming, and I want you here for it. Hit subscribe right now. And if you want to take the next step, if you want to understand the specific journey of building that first meaningful savings milestone and why it is harder than anyone prepares you for, the next video is exactly where you need to go. We are talking about why the first $10,000 is the hardest. The math, the psychology, the specific traps that make most people quit before they get there, and the mindset that gets you through it. It is the perfect companion to everything we talked about today. It is right there on your screen. Click it and let's keep going. I will see you in the next one.